Ears. Ears are a system engineer's best tool. The more I listen, the more I hear. The more I hear, the more I understand. The more I understand, the better a system engineer I can be. As system engineer, we're communicating with everybody on the team, and communication skills are very important. I'm going to illustrate a couple of techniques that have worked very well for my communication skills in my job as a system engineer. So, my first example is Joe the Analyst. Now, Joe the Analyst has come to our system engineering meeting to present the results of his performance analysis of our system. And Joe's got bad news for us. Our performance is 20% below specification. Now, while Joe is explaining his analysis, I will listen intently. I will focus my energy on listening to what Joe has to say. Typically, I'll end up leaning forward as I am now because I'm really focused and it just becomes a natural response. Now, once Joe's finished speaking, I wait a few seconds. I'm bursting with questions, but I want to take my time because Joe might be taking a breath to make another point. There'll be plenty of time for me to ask my questions, so I just have to relax a little bit. When I do ask my questions, how I ask them is really, really important. If I say, Joe, why is our performance 20% below where we expected to be? We really expected this to work. Joe's natural response is to think that we're questioning the validity of his analysis, questioning his capabilities as an analyst, and he's really going to work to defend his analysis. And that's not the most productive way I can get him to respond. Then there's assumptions. I really want to know what Joe's assumptions are. I want to know if they're valid and all this. If I say, Joe, what are your assumptions? Depending on Joe's personality, he may take this as another attack on his skill as an analyst and once again get defensive. And I don't want that to happen. What really works for me is this approach. I say, Joe, help me understand. You're closer to this than anybody. You've been analyzing this for a month. What do you see as the big reasons why our performance is falling short of requirements, falling short of our expectations? What have you learned? At this point, Joe has no reason to get defensive about his analysis. He's being given an opportunity to shine, to show us what he's learned, and to educate us and be a key team member. That's what I found is the best way to ask questions. And the key thing here is that I put the emphasis on myself. It's not Joe's failings as an analyst, it's my failings to understand. That takes away the defensive attitude from the people speaking to us. Assumptions. I really do want to get to the bottom of his assumptions, and I also want to make sure they're right. The way I like to approach that is say, Joe, I've given you a lot of the framework for this analysis. I want to make sure that I haven't steered you wrong. I want to make sure that I've given you the right basis of information. And in addition, Joe, our system design has evolved a lot in the month that you've been doing this analysis, and some of that evolution may change the way we want to make some assumptions. So could you tell us the assumptions you're making, and let's see if they're still the best assumptions we can be making current with the present design. Here too, I put the emphasis on myself and the team, not the quality of the analysis, and encouraging Joe to be an active team member. My next example has to do with emails. We all get about a zillion emails a day. We think it's communicating, it sure feels like communicating, but oftentimes it's not very good communication. When you get on a trail of emails, if I get 2 or 3 emails deep on a trail and I don't really understand what's going on, at that point I give the key person a call and say, you know, I'm not really sure I'm understanding what I need to understand from all these emails. I don't think email is the right form of communication. Could you talk me through what you're trying, what you've learned, what your key points are? I need to understand, and I know my writing skills are not nearly good enough to ask you the right questions. As usual, I've put the emphasis on myself and the weakness of email as a communication tool. The one-on-one dialogue I get with the person usually makes the product 3 times better than the 2 of us because you get such good communication That person learns where I'm coming from, I learn where they're coming from, and working together, verbally, the product becomes even better. So that's how I like to address the shortfalls of email. The reason I've put this video together is because you can't be a great system engineer if you're not a communicator. And I wanted to share some of the things that have really worked well for me in my systems engineering. Now, in conclusion, ask yourself, what did Purdy just say? If you're not completely sure what I just said, then you will know, like me, we can all be better listeners. I hope you found this talk informative. I hope you found it entertaining, and I look forward to seeing you out there in the world of Newspace.